wanted to do this class is because a lot of times when I talk to prospective clients, they tell me that nothing is working with ads, that they're spending so much money. And I tell them, okay, well, what else have you been doing? Because you can either take a little bit more time and have a really good strategy, or spend money on ads and see if it's going to work. A lot of times ads work. It's not to say that I have anything negative against advertising when it comes to paid advertising, because I know it's successful, but you don't always have to rely on ads necessarily to be successful, okay? And one of my biggest things is to focus on organic, which means free content, free things that you can do. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to give you pretty much the strategy for any type of product or service that you can possibly think of. And we're going to do that by dividing it into four different types of marketing services, okay? So first of all, let's talk a little bit about what is digital marketing and what is specifically that we're going to talk about in this class. It's not just social media or paid ads. And a lot of people think that social media is always going to be the thing that you have to do when it comes to selling your products or your services. It can be any form of online communication or strategy that helps your audience find you, trust you, buy from you, and stay with you. So a lot of times the digital currency is not always money. It can also be time. It can also be an email. It can also be a phone number, because people that build lists, for example, have a huge asset, which is the list. And there's been a lot of companies that just because you have 100,000 people on your list, it's very valuable because they're opening up your emails, and they're opening up because it's important, because it's something that they want to hear. So it's not always, digital marketing is not always tied to money. It can also be tied to other things like attention or time or an email or a form of communication. And you don't need to be everywhere. You just need a system to reach the right people that are going to be interested in what you have to offer, whether it's a product, whether it's a service, or whatever it is. Okay? And you don't need to always say the right thing all the time. There are things that you're going to have to learn in order to communicate and to connect with the people that you want to sell things to. And you have to follow up in a way that builds connection. So we're talking about digital marketing, more specifically organic, meaning free. So not necessarily tied to paid advertising. Okay? So what is it that you have to do? Well, before you can market anything, you need to understand your audience. And this is where a lot of people get it wrong, because if you don't know your audience, then you're not able to understand what they need. So define who you're helping. Who is this person? Understand what they want, understand what they need, and know where they're already hanging out. If Ford would have listened to his audience, he would have built faster horses, because that's what people wanted. They wanted faster horses. But what did he do? He created the automobile, because he knew the core concept of what people wanted. It wasn't that they wanted faster horses, it's that they wanted to get to places faster. So that makes a huge difference in understanding your market. And a lot of times, if you know how to write the diary of your audience, it means that you understand them. So if you know who you help very specifically, one person, let's say for me, for example, is Sarah. She has a family and she does a service in Indiana. That's who I picture in my mind when I come to define who I help and understand what they want, know where they're already hanging out. And we're going to go into more details so that you understand where I'm coming from. Okay. So the first step is not anybody with a business. You don't understand how many people I talk to that they say, oh yeah, my target market is everybody. Everybody can buy my service. And if everybody can buy your service, then you're talking to everybody, but your message is not really to anyone. So you always have to define one person, get specific. What kind of person or company, and what do they struggle with? What are some of the things that they need? For example, I help service providers who feel stuck finding clients and want a simple system that works. Or you can also be more specific with a name. Give them a name. Be more specific in understanding who you help. If you get to know them better than they know themselves, you're winning, because you know exactly what they want. Then audience research, which is your foundation. Understand what they want. And there's a lot of tools that we've gone over, but this is very important for those of you who weren't with us earlier. So there are a lot of tools like Answer the Public, which is basically a database that gives you the information of what people are looking for and what are they Googling every single day. So if, for example, you're a trainer and you want to find what are people searching for when it comes to health and wellness, then you just type in the keywords to see what comes up in Answer the Public. And you get 2 free searchers per day, which is plenty because it gives you the what, the how, all of the questions that people are asking, the prepositions, the pronouns, everything that people are looking for is a great way to do some research there. There's also Google Trends, which tells you how trendy is your service. Like if you remember the time with Pokemon Go, it was really up because people were Googling that. But then it kind of faded away and then it just kind of like died. And then AI in the last, 3 to 4 years has been going up because people are searching for that. But before it wasn't a big thing. It was just, basic searches. So you just know what are people looking for so that you know how trendy and how successful is going to be your service. If you have peaks and valleys, like sometimes people are searching for specific keywords related to your service, and then they're not, those peak and valleys are going to influence a lot on the decisions that they're going to buy from you. Okay. There's also Reddit, which are, forums, and people go on it to ask questions, just like in Quora as well. And that's where you can really find out a lot about your target. Something that people don't do enough is YouTube comments, not necessarily the videos that you want to put out there, but looking at the comments of your competitors and what are some of the struggles and questions that they're asking. That really gives you a really big understanding of what your market wants. Also, real conversations, DMs, client calls, group chats, getting to know what they want, what they need, and you want to write exactly the way that they're saying it. Like use the exact phrases, their emotional words, the objections they have before they buy. Like for example, obviously people go grocery shopping, right? Everywhere. I don't know in what part of the world you are, but I'm in Florida in the United States. And people here in Florida, they don't say that they're going to go to the grocery store. They said that they're going to go to Publix. Publix is a brand. So it's just the way that we communicate. If you come up to somebody in Florida and you say, I'm going to go to the grocery store, they're going to look at you like you're funny because people don't say that. So it's the same thing in marketing. You want to use their exact phrases and the exact words, because if not, you're not going to be able to connect with them in the right way. It's kind of like when you're speaking a different language, and I know we have a lot of people who speak multiple languages, right? If you speak to somebody who doesn't understand 100% the language that you're speaking to them, they're going to get the gist of it, but they're not really going to connect with it. So if you really use that language that they understand, obviously you're going to have a better outcome and a better conversation. So think about it like that. It's kind of like a language thing that you want to connect with them in the way that they communicate so that you can really give them the opportunity to connect with the content and to connect with you and your brand, okay? Now, this is still with your foundation and we're still talking about the audience research. A lot of times we wish that our audience was in a specific place. Like for example, we wish that the 20-something-year-olds would be on Facebook because it would be easier for us to sell it to them. But they're probably not there. They're, the 19, 18-year-olds, they're on Instagram, they're on Snapchat. They're not where you want them to be. So it's not where you wish they were, it's where they're already hanging out. Who are they listening to on different podcasts or different newsletters? Are they on Slack, Discord, one of those types of communities? Are they on Facebook? Are they on LinkedIn groups? If you're talking to a doctor, right, they're not necessarily going to be talking on Instagram. They're going to probably be on LinkedIn because it's a network where they're supposed to be. They're probably hanging out on their email a lot because they are probably very busy. Like financial advisors are always on their email. So all of these things are important because it really gives you an understanding of how you can market to them. Like there's this movie called If You Build It, They Will Come, right? And it's this baseball movie where this guy has a dream of a baseball field that he needs to build so that his father, who had passed away when he was younger, would come back to him. And obviously, it's not real, right? But it doesn't work that way when it comes to marketing. If you build it, they will come is a nice thing to say, but it doesn't work like that because we need to go where people are already hanging out. So there are also communities on Facebook. There are events that they're attending. So you can find them on like Brentbright or Meetup. And I'm sure all of these different places and all of these different locations and types of websites are available in your countries. You just have to know where to look and where to find them. BNI meetings, for example, that are like networking meetings. There's networking meetings all the time. There's a really good website called Alignable that is like LinkedIn that allows you to attend networking meetings almost every single day, almost every single hour. There's called like speed networking events as well. So people are out there. We just have to know where to go and in what mode to approach them. Okay. So I'm going to talk about these 4 business types. And the reason why I broke it down into 4 business types is because it's going to be easier for you to understand where they are, what are they doing, okay? And if you know that if you know the audience, then you're gonna walk with them so that you know in what group to focus on. So I'm gonna explain to you every single group, and at the end of this 45 minutes, now that we have left, you're going to understand that you have these 4 groups and where do you fit in. If you wanted to start a business, where do you fit in and where do you feel comfortable with, okay? So for example, services and agencies. These are done for you services like freelancers, consultants, experts who work directly with clients. You give something of value is as a hands-on service. So you can either trade your skills, your time, your expertise for money. And you may be a solo freelancer, you can run a small agency, a huge agency, but the business relies on you doing something for the client. So it's not a product, right? It's not a membership. It's something that you're doing, like a tangible thing that it's more like a service that you're doing, maybe not tangible as we would like. Okay. So here are some examples. A graphic designer who creates logos, a virtual assistant who manages inboxes, a bookkeeper who organizes finances, also financial people who are in the financing industry, they're consulting you, they're giving you the service, right? A marketing agency offering lead generation. All of these services are people who are trading time or expertise for money, okay? Now, it means that you can also be part of more than one group, and I'll explain that in a second. But it's very customized work. It's very personalized work. It's usually sold through trust and relationships, and it's most effective when clients know that you exist and they see proof that you can help, okay? So this is group 1. Now let's go into group number 2, which if you have an agency or if you are a freelancer, it doesn't mean that you're only going to be focusing on group 1 because you might have programs, you might have digital products as another part of your business. But this specific group is selling their knowledge and their systems or their frameworks or in a class setting, in a workshop. It might be live, it might be recorded. It's something that's already created. It can be a digital template, it can be an ebook, it can be training. It's all digital products because you don't have to worry about how you're going to ship this information or this thing that it might be a book. So it's anything that's digital and anything that's a program, which there's hundreds of them, thousands and of millions of things online. Like, for example, there's Udemy, there's this, Coursera, all these different places where you can find programs, and also from marketers, they have tons of programs and digital products, and they don't have to be paid. There's a lot of things that are actually also free that it can be like as an entry point to another service. So for example, a course that teaches people how to start a podcast, a set of Canva templates, a group coaching program that meets once a week, a planner or a printable download sold through Gumroad or Etsy. These are places where people can sell digital products. Etsy used to be this thing right here. Etsy used to be a place where you would buy different handmade things. So like, if you wanted to buy a portrait for a baby, or if you wanted to buy something for your house, like it would look nice. Now there's a ton of digital products on Etsy, which a lot of people don't know about, okay? And what makes this group unique? Well, it's a scalable product because you don't have to worry about actually creating it from scratch. You create it once, you can sell it 100 times at once. You do need trust and education before people buy. It's actually harder to sell a product that's high ticket. A lot of times these digital products are cheap, like $5, $7, $10, because obviously it's just a digital product. You don't have to worry about creating it 1,000 times, but people don't seem to want to spend a lot of money. If it's a program, it can go super, like very expensive, right? And people usually need to be warmed up to the idea of buying knowledge, okay? So this is group number 2. Now, group number 3 is e-commerce and brands. So these are brands that are not service-based, and it's usually products that people can use, wear, or a gift, or a costume, anything that can be shipped, like physical products. It can also be like software or digital tools, but it's more based on products. So like a skincare line, a jewelry brand, a set of digital stickers or fonts can maybe fit in here because it's also e-commerce. So let's look at what makes this group unique. Well, you rely on the product market fit and the demand, and people buy based on benefits, on the vibe of the brand and user experience. And the path to sale is usually faster, but it still needs good visibility and needs to be a true connection with the people that are actually buying it. So this is actually harder to sell, right? Because to scale, because you need to produce a lot. And then finally, for number 4, we have membership and events. And these are paid communities, subscriptions, masterminds, live workshops that are just live workshops. They don't have anything else, retreats, things that people seem to buy more than once. So like this is different. A live workshop is different than somebody who sells workshops because it's on a recurring basis. So that's the business model. It can also be something, I know some of you guys are in like the political landscape. This would fit into here because it's something that you have to fundraise time after time. Nonprofits would fit in here because they need to raise money every single day, every single week, every single month. So you're not just selling a one-time product, you're creating an ongoing experience. And this could be a community of people to pay in, or a live event that happens once or a few times a year. It can also be like, for example, Netflix or streaming apps that you buy, it's like what, $3 to $5, $7 a month, and you're continuing to get a service time after time until you cancel the membership. So some examples of this are a paid Slack or Mighty Networks or a school community. I don't know if you guys are familiar with those. It could be a monthly subscription for coaching or curated resources, a live retreat or a conference that it happens a few times, a recurring Zoom mastermind for business owners, okay? So I hope, I don't know if you guys can message me, but if you guys have any questions on this, so we've talked about the four groups. Oh, I forgot to tell you, why is this unique? Well, because the value is in the connection. It's not just the content, right? It's more about a more lively experience. And you need to show what the experience is like. People have a sense of, I belong here, right? And those are key to the conversations, okay? So if you can think of any type of business in the world, they're usually going to fit into these 4 types of business types. And when people come to me, they say, yeah, I'm just going to do ads and see what happens. And that's usually the wrong approach, because you're just going to burn money, and there's a lot of things that we can do before we get to the ads to see what's going to resonate with our audience. And this is what I'm going to get to right now. Now, again, we've talked about social media a lot in the last few classes, and all of these services, if you go to social media and you have a good strategy for social media, like for example, the type of information that you're going to share, how you're going to connect with your audience via DMs, who are you gonna like their post, and who are you going to follow, and how are you going to attract the people to come to you, okay? So obviously social media applies to all of this, but there are certain nuances to different ways that we can sell to these 4 business types, and in having an organic, meaning free, not paying for ad spend. It's basically trading the time that you're going to spend on this in different types of strategies to be successful. Okay. So for example, services and agencies. Okay. So let's take this for example, right? Remember, services and agencies are basically trading your time for money. Okay. So it's somebody who wants to do something for another person, like done for you things. And if you guys, I don't know if you can communicate with me in the chat. If you have a specific type of business that you're thinking of and you don't know where it fits, we can talk about it, in the Q&A. But usually, when it comes to organic strategy, cold email can work very well, especially if it's a B2B, business to business approach, because it's easy to set up. It takes about 30 days to set up, but once you're in, you can load your cold emails into your platform wherever you have them set up. It can be one of the most famous ones, if you guys know it, is Instantly, and you can get lists. Now with AI, it's so easy to scrape information from businesses, and you can run an organic strategy with cold email for services and agencies. You can do Loom videos, which are kind of like recordings of your screen. Those are kind of like Loom videos. There's a lot of other ways that people call them, but it's basically showing your screen, showing quick wins and things where they can approach and they can have, if you're working with them. Cold calls, if you're B2B or if you're local, they still work. You obviously have to be calling about 100 or 150 businesses a day, but they still work because people are still using the phone. So it works. And when people use this with B2B, it works even better, because if you're a business and people call you, you're most likely going to answer the phone, right? You can create lead magnets. Lead magnets are a type of resource that you will give to someone in exchange for their email or for their information, so that you can get to know them better. So for example, a lead magnet of the top 3 mistakes in the industry, an audit. You can also do a newsletter and have people opt into your newsletter. And then in that newsletter, that's when you deliver a ton of value and you really want to get them to connect with you in a different way. Obviously, podcasts, being guest on a podcast as well. You don't have to have your own if you don't have the time every week or every month to record a podcast. You can create guest posts as well. So like, for example, if I know that one of my partners, because if I sell, let's take the baby example. If I sell a service for parents to sleep train their kid, their baby, and I can do a guest post on somebody who works with moms when it comes to breastfeeding, right? Like a lactation consultant. I'm not fighting. We're not competitors. We supplement each other, because I don't have the skills that a person who knows about lactation and a lactation consultant would have. I have the skills of knowing how to get the baby to sleep long periods of time at night so that the parents can have a break. So that's what guest post means. You are a guest on a partner, somebody who has the same audience as you, and you're able to provide value to your audience that way as well. Also, this is the same thing as a newsletter post, except that this is via email, and a guest post is more like a blog. Another thing that people don't think about is a lot of people have questions about this. So Reddit, Quora, and there's a lot of other websites where people are constantly asking questions. So if you go in there and you give a good answer to all of these different things that you're interested in, and you give your website in there as well, obviously you can't be spamming the internet. But this is a really good strategy, because people are going to look up to you since you've been answering so many questions, and they're going to want to work with you as well. Also commenting on high traffic industry blogs, especially, for example, now there's a Substacks. Substack is a website that is kind of like a blog, but it looks like a social media, because you can see different types of authors and different types of Substacks. So you get recommended to follow different people, and that people can actually pay for Substacks. And then finally, the last one could be to share guides on SlideShare, Scribd, or public Notion. And this allows you to be seen even more. So when people come to me and they say, I don't know how to get clients. Well, if you fit into this services and agency business, this is your strategy. Pick one, start with that, master it, and then move on to another one that makes you feel comfortable. If you're not the type of person that likes to make cold calls, don't worry about it. Don't do that one. Do another one that is easier for you and that feels more aligned with who you are. Okay, number two, and I think I spent too much on that one. Sorry about that. Programs and digital products. Okay, so you're selling knowledge either live or as a downloadable product. So your organic strategy can be around a lead magnet again, but remember it's a little different based on what you have to offer. Whereas before you were more done for you, so you want to have something that is more about the results that you've been able to give. But this one, for example, is more about the lead magnet, a small sample of what you can expect if you buy my digital products. Also an evergreen email funnel that builds trust, because people, when they're buying these digital products, they need to really see that they can trust you. You can also teach for free in someone else's group and then have a lead magnet there so people can download or buy your digital product from there. Joint ventures with aligned creators. Like this means, for example, getting a creator in the same space and doing a type of digital product that that person would be interested in. So it's similar to the partner post that we talked about earlier with the lactation consultant and a sleeping coach. But this is more so that you can actually sell your digital products with them instead of just as a guest, right? Pinterest and blog SEO for traffic. SEO is very important, but it's very hard to rank. So this has to be a really good strategy. And Pinterest is great for digital products because you can see the content. So that's why you need to know what you're selling so that you can actually be in the right place. Collaborate on bundles with a creator. So it's not just a joint venture, meaning a one type of digital product with a partner. It can be a series of digital products and putting them together. And this works really well on like Black Friday when people want sales. So if you bring a lot of bundles with different collaborators and you call it the Black Friday sale, it's great because people know that they're getting a really good value for their money. You can also share public resource libraries. This works really well because, again, it's all about building trust. And you can share your best stuff on SlideShare for traffic so that they can see on SlideShare the products that you have, and then they'll come to and buy your products as well. Okay. Now let's talk about e-commerce more specifically and brands. So email marketing, there's a lot of stuff that people don't do when it comes to a product and like e-commerce. And I've worked with authors before. And the first thing that we do when I read their books and I work with them is that we talk about what does the abandoned cart and the welcome flows look like. Even if it's 2 to 3 emails, is very important because if you don't have this in place, you're really leaving money on the table. And Klaviyo does a great job with Shopify. So it integrates really well to know what to send and when to send it. And even if you don't have anything in place, like I said, 3 emails for these types of sequences, they call them flows in Klaviyo. That's why I put here flows, is very important. SEO for product pages and educational blog posts, especially for products that need education. Like, for example, one of my kids had like a system where you can I needed information and kind of like look at how this works, because you needed to put the thing in their nose and it's gonna suction things out of it. It was kind of gross, but the point is that I didn't know what to do with it. I had no idea how this worked. So I needed to see things, and educational blog posts work really well. Also videos work really well. So, and this is a product. So you're going to be able to rank higher for SEO product pages as opposed to all types of digital products, right? Pinterest boards are great because it's physical. It's something that people can see. It's visual. They can see the size. They can see how it fits. So that's why Pinterest works really well. You can also outreach to blogs or gift guides for best of lists. And another thing is partner with small creators to show the real world use. And there's a lot of brands that do, and I'm sure you've seen them, like boxes. So they have like boxes for every kind of thing now. So you can partner with other people who sell these boxes and give them the product at a discounted amount that they can sell it for you. And it's a great way to do partnerships. Newsletters as well, to share tips instead of pushing your product every single time. Again, it's about educating and having trust. And using UGC is user generated content. Okay, so it means that anybody can do a video, do a post, do whatever type of content, and you use that as organic content in your email. So you're spotlighting somebody who's using the product and they're doing a video or they're doing a demonstration, and you're using that in your emails because it builds trust. It's not you talking, it's this person that is using your product, using UGC, user generated content, in your emails. And also obviously post your product in forums, comparison sites, review sites, tool directories, everywhere, so that they can really see it. Okay. And not only that, when I was working with a running company in a review site, that it was all about reviewing shoes and reviewing strollers and reviewing socks, anything that had to do with running. They had their own products, but they were also affiliates of all of these other products on Amazon. So they were double dipping on their sales and also on the reviews that they were posting for all of these other products. So that was a really good business model as well. Now, membership and events. These are, again, communities, groups, things that are recurring on a monthly basis or a weekly or whatever basis, okay? So the organic strategy are email invitations or early access sneak peeks. How many of you love when you get something first, right? Oh my God, I was the first one for this. It's like, you have the sneak peek of the movie, or you buy your concert tickets first and you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna put this on social media. I love it, right? People love that. So a sneak peek works really well with membership and events because it allows you to be first. And this also could work with other types of business models as well, but especially with this one, because it's a live event, it's a paid community, especially with those, it works really well. Waitlist funnels with behind the scenes previews. So similar to a sneak peek, but instead of selling something while you're building it, you sell it before. And that way, you know that it's going to work, because if you don't, then you're going to spend, I don't know, 3, 6 months, whatever, a year creating something that people might not want. But if you have a wait list and you give them a special price, then you're going to be able to be successful, because then you don't have to wait and spend all this time building something that people might not want. And trust me, I've made that mistake before. You can have personal invitations to past clients or other aligned audiences. Allows you to be different and to really stand out, as opposed to just selling to everybody. Appear on podcasts to talk about your story, especially because with these types of businesses, it's more about the especially the events. It's people that are going to spend their time and they want to get something in return. Okay. Collaborate with other community leaders for crossover growth, similar to the other businesses that we've talked about, but this is more about what do you have to offer and why do I want to spend money on you, because what type of reward am I going to get? You can also use Notion or Google Docs for this content that we talked about, this like sneak peek event, and to be active in communities where they already serve your ideal members, especially like Facebook groups, or Reddit or Quora, or some types of things. So right on time for Q&A. We'll have about 20 minutes for Q&A. I hope you understood what I mean when people say, yeah, I don't want to be on social media. I don't want to spend ads. There's a lot of other things that you can do to sell your products, to sell your services. And it's not a one-time done, and then that's it, all done with everything. Organic, it's not necessarily just free. It means more strategic, more personal. You're taking more time to deliver something that's value driven. And when you know your audience, remember that's number one, and you choose the right strategy for your offer, you really can grow consistently without relying on platforms that you can't control. Not to say that social media is bad, not to say that ads don't work. They do work. But a lot of times people forget that the basis of selling anything is connection. How did people sell before the computers? How did people sell before the technology that we have today? You know, they went door to door. They wanted to make connections. They went to meetings and to actually want to show people what to do. I was working with a salination company, like a water systems, and they actually before COVID had to go to your house to show you the difference in water that you're drinking from, you know, the faucet or bottled water, as opposed to the system that they have in place and the types of nutrients that they can show you. And they had to evolve because obviously, just like COVID hit, the technology came around, right, for the rest of us. And in the same way that they had to do it now on Zoom, now we have technology, now we have computers. But we forget that even though we have social media, we have cold email, we have the internet, we have all this, now we have AI, it's not just about focusing on that. It's about focusing about the principle. And the principle is finding a way to get people to buy from you based on the value that you offer. So you don't need to go viral. You just need a message that matters to the right people and a system that keeps you in front of them on a consistent basis. So everything that we talked about, it's not a one and done deal. You have to work at it so that it can work. But again, it's going to come from the different steps that we talked about, knowing your audience and knowing who you're selling to, knowing where they are and knowing what makes them unique and the language that you can use so that all of this can be successful. And then unwrapping that strategy that we've talked about, depending on the business that you have.